everybody, welcome back to the For Our Radio podcast. My name is Chloe Dean, I'm your host today, and today I'm joined with a very special guest, Danny Gray.
Hi.
He's here today to talk about emetophobia and living with the anxiety that surrounds it. So, could you just introduce yourself a little bit, please, for people who don't know who you are?
Of course. Hello, everyone. My name's Danny Gray. So I'm 39 years old, dad of two little boys, Roman and Rudy. I hate to say it, but I'm an entrepreneur. So I don't know why, I just hate that word.
A lot of people hate that word, yeah.
It's a bit like, so created a men's makeup brand called War Paint, which I launched sort of 7 years ago. It went very well. And then last 3 or 4 years, I created a mental health platform called Jack, which stands for Just Ask a Question, which is like a free interactive mental health platform where you can get the right information from the right people. However, I do suffer with multiple things, body dysmorphia, where you're obsessed about the way you look, because I was bullied when I was younger. But more recently, I've talked about emetophobia, so fear of being sick, which I just started on TikTok a couple of months ago, and it's just getting quite a lot of traction in quite a short space of time, because I think a lot of people suffer with it.
Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about your experience with emetophobia, sort of how it started, maybe sort of how it impacts your life?
So it's, I don't know really when it started, but I'm taking a guess of when it was. So when I was about 11, 12 on a school trip to south of France, and we went on a bus. So went on a bus on the way out there, everything was good. And we stayed overnight on the way to France in a hotel. And it was weird, actually. We were in a bit of a room like this, and we all sat and having dinner. And then we had chicken roast, like little mini chickens, I think they were. And everyone got them. And I can actually remember the girl next to me going, mine looks a bit pink. And I literally can remember going, no, that's all right. I didn't have a clue. I said, I haven't got a clue. And she ate it. Anyway, later on, or the next morning or later on that day, on the bus, she starts being sick I can remember, a plastic bag. And then that evening, I think that was lunchtime. So by 6 hours later, that evening, then we went into a hotel. And literally, I think there was 40 people on the trip. I think 15, 16 got severe food poisoning, including teachers. And we were in a dorm. I was in a dorm with 6 people. No one got it in the dorm, but all I could hear was literally people running up and down outside, crying, screaming, being sick.
How old were you, sorry, 12?
I think about 11. It was just before secondary school.
So year 6, residential almost?
Yeah, year 6, 7 or something like that. Yeah. And I can just remember then the whole trip was horrendous to me. I had to go back, and everyone had buckets. It was just awful. Yeah. So I think that's where it started. But then, when I got to about 14, 15, I don't really think it affected me too much now. I don't think I thought about it. I can remember not thinking about it at secondary school. Yeah. And then when I got a bit older, it just become this thing about what I thought about more and more and more. And now, I think about it every day. I think about sickness or sick bugs. I'm a fear of catching it, for catching a sickness bug. So yeah.
Sort of how has it impacted, because emetophobia, you actually mentioned earlier, is one of the largest phobias in the world, but not many people know about it.
Yeah. How
have you experienced sort of having emetophobia but almost feeling like you might not be able to talk about it because not everyone knows about it?
Do you know what it was? It wasn't. I never had a thought about I can't talk about it. I just thought I wasn't normal.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people feel. Yeah. Because I can remember, I literally had routines as well. Like when I was a kid, actually, saying didn't affect me. I can remember when I was 4. I can't remember. I was young. I would do a routine before bed. I'd have to do the same routine each night, flicking light switches on, doing curtains, pulling. And I thought, if I did that, I'm not going to be sick. So as I grew up, I just thought, no one does this. But I'm the only one who just is petrified of being sick. And then when I learned, only recently really, the last few years, how common it is, it makes total sense how common it is. Because if you think about it, someone can have the fear of needles. Yeah. But generally that's because you probably go and have an injection, have a bad experience. Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, I hate needles. Yeah. Or I know heights, but all of those things you can stay away from. I can stay away from needles, I can stay away from heights, but actually sickness.
You can't help if you get sick.
And everyone's going to be sick in their lifetime.
You can't deny it.
Or people around you are going to be sick, or bugs and stuff like that. So you just can't. So when you think about how common that phobia is, it's basically the leading expert for emetophobia, who's on the Jack platform, just said out of any symptom that comes in terms of phobia in the hospitals, the most common is a fear of being sick. Yeah. and it's just not talked about. So it was estimated that it could be like between 5 and 10% of the population suffer with it to some extent. So if you think that could be
that's so many people.
Yeah, that could be 3 to 6 million people in the UK who have got this, and everything's on a scale, right? So I think out of 10, I'm like a 7, but some people 8, 9, 10. But there could be some people down at 4 or 5 who are really worried about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it makes total sense. So it's a big phobia, and it's not very nice either.
No,
right?
yeah, no one likes being sick, as they always say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So everyone says that. Oh, don't be silly. No one likes being sick. I was like, I haven't got a clue what's going on.
Yeah. Another thing I was going to ask, you sort of briefly mentioned, obviously, like you can guarantee you're going to be sick in your life at some point. With emetophobia, a lot of people believe they can control themselves not being sick. Have you ever thought that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I think I can. I just... it's weird. If someone said you had to do this every day and you won't be sick, I'd do it.
Yeah.
It could be probably anything,
yeah,
and I'll do it. So I think I can control it. Okay, but I know I can't. Well, to a point. Okay, let me rephrase that. So I've got 2 young kids. Their cousins, who they're very close with, if they get a bug, and then the parents of them don't get a bug, it makes me really reassured because I know they're not as careful as I am.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that, they're probably not going to wash their hands as much. They probably, kiss their kids on the lips.
It's their kids. Yeah.
They probably go to like a soft play and all of these sort of things. So, I feel I can control it to the max I can without pushing it too far. So it doesn't stop me doing anything, by the way, Mate. It doesn't stop me going out.
That's really good.
Talked about it earlier, right? Don't go to soft play.
Yeah.
Don't tell my kids to soft play.
Soft play is the worst.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't stop me doing things, but I just make sure, like, I had a sandwich before I came here, the Pret sandwich. So my hands are clean, but because I was starving, the sandwich was the wrong way round in the packaging. Yeah. So I'll have a tissue, but I'll pick the 4th, 5th tissue out. I know that sounds ridiculous.
No.
And then I'll use that to turn the thing round to hold it in the pack. So I'm not going to hold the sandwich. I'm just like, well, just in case I've got something on my hands, then it's not going to, because I'm always like, because this is what goes in my head straight away. So for me, it's like when you eat something, I heard that the only way you can really get a sickness bug is if you effectively touch something and put it in your mouth because it's not as airborne. Yeah. Oh my God, look how scientific I'm getting.
It's all right. I've been there.
Like a cough, like people can cough.
Yeah, and you can get a cold, but
it's going to go everywhere. Where generally people who are sick, it's about them touching something, and then you pick something up and ingest it. So for me, that's the big thing. Yeah. So now I don't kiss my kids, which is horrible. I don't kiss my kids on the lips anymore. Yeah, it's sad because I used to do it and I loved it. Yeah. I loved it. And I don't know, I just didn't. When they're tiny, like tiny newborns. Yeah. I'll just do it. Well, now my kid wants to kiss me, and I'm I do it like here, And I don't. If my kid has a drink like that, I won't drink that from that drink. Yeah. So it's just some little things. To that also. Little things I do, but I try not to make them. I'm trying to be very conscious about it, so I don't overdo it. Yeah. But my kids are like 9, 10, and 5, and 9 and 5. They wash they religiously wash their hands, but not too much. No. But if they're going to eat, they know they wash their hands. Yeah. If they go to the toilet, I know that sounds really simple.
That's a good thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah. And I don't want to push it on them too much, but yeah.
It's good practice anyway, to be fair. I was going to, so also because you've mentioned like washing hands, picking up food with like a tissue and stuff, what are like other coping mechanisms that you use personally?
There's a lot of stuff I won't do, so I won't take my kids to soft play. It's my kids is the big one because I always think they're a bit germy. And then I won't eat. My food has to be cooked like properly. It's weird though. My steak I'll have medium rare, but it's only because I know you can. But I know you can have steak rare.
It's red meat.
Yeah, but anything else, it has to be piping hot. It has to be cooked properly. Sanitize my hands a lot. Anyone who's ill, I need to be out of that vicinity. If I know there's a sickness bug going around, I definitely won't go anywhere near them. Even if I had someone text me at work the other day saying, "Oh, my husband's got norovirus, but I'm coming in," and I'm like, "No, you're not.
Yeah, stay away, please.
Yeah, stay away." So there's loads of little things I do, like nothing dramatic. What I used to do, like OCD and stuff like that. Like going to the toilet in a public place is, just wash my hands religiously.
Yeah. Is there anything you sort of bring about with you all the time, like in a bag or something?
I always have sanitizer and stuff like
Yeah.
that in my bag. I always have sanitizer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like little things, like go on the underground because I have to.
Yeah.
But I won't touch the handrails.
yeah.
Like I'll lean and stuff like that. So it's all these little tiny things I do, which I don't even know I'm really doing a lot of the time. Like if I feel sick at night, I have to do certain things, routines. So that's why I'm a bit OCD.
No,
I'll have to.
I have that too. Yeah. What sort of things do you do, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, like if it's very rare, I feel ill. Very rare. So if I'm feeling just not 100%, like sicky, I don't know why, and then it will get worse because I'm then worried about being sick.
It's a cycle, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I'll go downstairs and I'll have to get out of my bed. That's the big thing. I can't lay in my bedroom, so I have to go downstairs, put the telly on, and then that is a big thing for me that I'll just do probably once or twice a month. I just don't feel 100%, so I'll just go downstairs until I feel 100%, then I'll go back to bed, even though I'm absolutely fine. I know I am.
Yeah. No, to be fair, I do that. My personal rule, because I also have emetophobia, is I have a rule that I call raspberries to myself. So if I have raspberries and they don't make me feel better, I think I actually am ill for whatever reason. Because I think because they're a bit sour, I think it sort of takes my mind off feeling ill. Okay. So I'm like, if I have some raspberries and they don't make me feel better, I'm ill. But if I have a few raspberries and I feel a bit better, then I know I'm going to be okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've got something similar actually. So if I'm feeling a bit not 100%, and I don't know, I'm getting a sickness bug, I'll think about a Big Mac.
Do you?
Yeah, just think and say, could I eat a Big Mac now?
Yeah.
And if I'm like, yeah, I can, well, I'll catch, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you've actually you don't want to eat anything, I'm like, well, if someone put a Big Mac in front of me now, would you eat it? Then I'll think, yeah, actually, I could eat that.
So you know you're going to be fine. Yeah, that's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah, but you actually eat raspberries.
I will always have some raspberries in the fridge.
Well, if you can put them in your mouth, you're probably all right.
Yeah.
That's how I would look at that. Because even me putting them in my mouth, my body, if I'm actually always going to say, no, you don't have
it's
them.
always some, it's raspberries mainly, but if we, for whatever reason, don't have raspberries, it'll always be some kind of fruit or like an apple. Oh, it's really weird. I'll just eat the skin of an apple. And if I can do that, I think I'll be fine. Which is so random, but
it works for you.
Everyone's got their own things.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is with all these coping techniques I always say. Is like, some people say you want to get to places. I think when they become too much, and they're overtaking your life and then stopping you doing things, that's when you've got to really worry. Yeah, you need
to see someone about that.
That's the big difference.
Yeah.
Because they don't rule my life. Right? I just, you
can keep it to yourself kind of thing like
Correct,
that.
Yeah.
And if you have any, if you think you have any friends who suffer with emetophobia, how would you recommend helping someone who you know who suffers with it?
Well, I probably wouldn't give any advice to anyone because I think you've got to go on your own journey and see what works for you. But a lot of people have said, I've never had CBT for it because I didn't get to such a bad place where it was ruling my life, and there's something I can think about. A little while ago actually, it was a lot. I was thinking about it constantly, and so CBT we were. But I heard something quite profound the other day that changed a lot for me, and that was just a girl saying she had emetophobia really bad, and she had to go through all CBT. Nothing really helped, and then one of her psychiatrists just turned around and said, "When was the last time you were actually sick?" And for me, it was when I was 12.
Really?
Yeah.
Such a long time.
Oh yeah, don't see you saying that gives me anxiety.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'm not jinxing it. I'm not jinxing it.
Yeah, jinx it.
No, sorry.
And then it's I haven't been physically sick since I was 12. I'm now 40, so it's been 28 years. I would have been in situations near stuff. So what that person had said to that person was so the likeness of you actually being ill, it's very, very unlikely.
Yeah.
And then I actually heard that, and I remember watching a bit of content. I was like, Jesus, that's so right. And since then, it's really helped me because even with my kids, they've had bugs.
And you haven't been sick from them?
Yes.
Yeah.
My kids had bugs, and then my partner had a bug, and then I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, well, actually, it's probably unlikely that I'm going to get it, even if they get it. So even me thinking that has relaxed me with my kids. Yeah. To think, well, I'm still going to do my things, but they sitting there worrying every day. Are they eating their dinner tonight? Are they going to be sick tonight? Even if they do get it, it's probably unlikely that I'm going to get it. But then what I do think is, well, that's all the mechanisms I use. Yeah. Which is probably a bad way of looking at it.
No, but
I clean my hands, I'm cleansy, Yeah.
Like you say, as long as it's not ruling your life, you know, washing your hands is always good
it's
practice anyway.
Exactly, right? You just got to learn to manage all these things.
And they say, I don't know if this is true, but I was told at some point that a certain percentage of adults are actually immune to norovirus.
Well, I did hear that as well. And did you hear there was a thing that they were they're putting a study out for a jab for norovirus?
Wow, really?
So,
I haven't heard that, no.
Well, so a jab that can, you basically once a year you get a jabs and it stops you. So I put my name down for it. I was too young.
Oh no.
It was for older people.
Oh,
so
like the flu kind of thing.
Yeah. However, I'm pretty sure if you asked for it, you could get it. But they're doing a norovirus vaccine.
Wow, that would be really great if that could be a thing.
But as you said, a lot of people are immune to it. And actually, now you said that, I've never really thought about it. So now what's going through my head,
maybe
I
you're
might be
immune. Yeah.
Because there was norovirus going around my house.
And you didn't get it.
And Kirsty got it, my partner. And obviously, we were in the house together. And I was the only one who didn't get it. But, oh, God, I'm saying that now. I'm like...
Don't worry. You can't jinx it. That's what I always have to remember, is that you can't jinx it.
Yeah. I see you just saying that actually is a good point.
You can't.
So I've never thought like that. Actually, now you just said that to me, I'm like, it's a bit like, well, you can't jinx anything.
You can't jinx it. That's not how it works. But you totally think that's how it works, but it's so not. Another thing I was going to ask you, obviously, a lot of people do suffer with emetophobia and sort of don't talk about it, but it can be quite debilitating.
Yeah.
Could you give any examples of how sort of you've been able to overcome it, and how even though you've had it, it hasn't impacted your life to the point where you can't do things?
Do you know what it is? It's because people hide it in secret. I think a lot of the time, like I did when I was younger, and that's when I had those OCD things. Like for me, as soon as you talk about it to anyone, and just I'm so obviously open about it. Yeah. Like to everyone. You can ask anyone like at work.
It's on the internet, so...
Well, yeah, it's all over the internet, but it's all over TikTok. But it was even like, I have celebrities come in. I won the other day, I won't say who it was, and I had a friend with them, and the friend went, oh, sorry, I'm just a bit ill. I went, what's wrong with you? Like that. And I'm so can't blunt, and they went, well, what do you mean? I went, oh, to be honest, I'm petrified. I've got a severe fear of being sick, like really bad. She went, no, it's just a cold. I went, okay, that's fine. She went, have you got a fear? I went, yeah, it's just, I've had it forever. And she went, oh, okay, yeah. And people just get it. Do you know what I mean? And I think me just being upfront with all my mates, anyone, I'm just like, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to be away from you because of this fear. I think that approach has just helped me because it's nothing, I'm not ashamed about it. And my flip in my head is like, something's obviously happened, I've got this thing, it's not my fault. So I'm not ashamed. And I think if you're ashamed about it and not open about it, and that's not go and talk to someone about it, which everyone tells you to do, just like face it up as I've got this thing, I need to manage it. Just do whatever you need to do, as long as it doesn't rule your life, and just be open with people. And I think that can help you in a situation. You know, if someone's worried if, like, say someone's ill, and then all of a sudden your day can be in turmoil because they sit next to you. Yeah. Like a lot of people will sit and go, what am I going to do? Well, I'll be like, look, I'm going to move. Yeah. And like, I'll be honest, can you just stay away from me for the next couple of days? Because I'm just going to be, I'm going to be really anxious for the next couple of days. That's what I find really helps me. I tell people, just let me know if you're ill. Because if I find out you're ill, I'm going to
and then I'm going to be annoyed at you when you haven't done anything wrong as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, that was a big thing, just being like, owning it a little bit. Don't worry what people think, because I think people worry about what people are going to think about it, and then when you actually say they're a bit like, oh, okay, well, I get it a little bit because sick is horrible. So they don't go, oh, you weirdo. It's they like, oh, okay, no problem. No, I'm not sick. Right.
Do you have any examples of like situations where you've felt maybe sick or felt anxious, but you've still gone and done whatever it is you needed to do that day anyway, and sort of got over it?
I do all the time. I do it with my body dysmorphia, or I've had it so many times where I've like, do you know what it is for me? I don't actually feel sick.
Okay.
So a lot of people with emetophobia, which I've learned, is that they start feeling sick and have that, and then, oh my God, I'm sick, and then it builds. Yeah. Well, I've never had that.
Oh, really?
So I'm very fortunate. Yeah. My fear is of catching a bug. Very rarely do I sit there and go, oh, how am I feeling? It's quite rare.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a bit of like, so it doesn't really stop me doing anything because I don't ever feel sick out of nowhere. Yeah. And I know some people like the fear of like, if I'm going to be sick, I need to be somewhere safe. And
Yeah.
like, so I don't have that side of it.
Really?
Mine's all about preventing me getting
So yours
a
is
bug.
almost more logical.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah, probably. So it doesn't actually affect me to make me
It's
go.
not like you're feeling. It's
No,
like,
oh my god, I feel queasy. Of course, now and then I feel
Yeah,
queasy.
everyone
'cause
does,
of-
yeah.
yeah, just
That's
because
life.
I don't know, something might have happened, but it's not. Which actually, that would be, I could tell because I've got the front end of it. If I had that as well, that would be tough.
Yeah.
Like, because it does make
It's
you feel
it's
worse,
a cycle.
isn't it?
That's what I struggle with. If ever I feel a bit sick, I then get anxious, and then that makes me feel sick, and then it's just this awful cycle. You just sort of have to like ignore it until it goes away. Yeah. Was there sort of anything else that you wanted to talk about today?
Probably just that it's more normal than everyone thinks, emetophobia.
Yeah.
And like I was at a dinner the other day, and like a dinner. This is a good example of me being open, actually. So I went round. It was like a dinner date with some couples, like 6 couples, and they had finger food.
Brilliant.
And I'm like that. Oh my god! So she gets it all out. It's like all platter of food. I'm like, guys, look, can I go first?
Yeah.
I'm just so carte blanche, and they're like, oh, like I'm not being rude. I've just got
Yeah.
like a fear of being sick, emetophobia. Like, so rather than everyone, they're like, oh yeah, fine. And then I saw a bloke was 2 people away from me. He was like that, and he came and collared me later on and was like, is that what that is? I was like, yeah, mate. I just got a pet. He says, I think I've got that. He says, if anyone, and he was like a bit of a geezer,
Yeah.
mid-50s.
Yeah.
He said, anyone says sick, ever since I was little, I got inside, I'm dead. I'm turmoil.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just a bit like, even that example, I was very open about it. No one
Yeah.
took down.
No.
Everyone was a bit
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, fine. Then it was a bit jokey, like, or make sure Dan's had everything he wants.
Yeah,
first. I'm
yeah.
like, sorry guys, sorry. But that just stops me rather than sitting there going, well, I'm not going to eat today.
Yeah.
I do it in the office as well. I go straight up, I'm like, I want the first bit of pizza.
Yeah. Do you know that all too well?
Yeah, we did a bit of content on it the other day. It went viral, actually. Yeah, and that is dead true. That's exactly what happened. And that example of the fingerprint, that happened. I saw someone doing it.
Yeah. You put it, and that is sort of how you have to eat pizza. 'Cause
Well, I
also-
don't knife and fork it and then take it off. Like
Oh,
that.
do you?
Yeah, because I don't want to
Yeah.
touch it for someone
But
else.
you have to pull it apart in some
But
way. However you do it. Yeah.
every normal person would do that. Just
Yeah.
go up and pull it apart and take one
Yeah.
each. And then I'm like, well, that
I'll
pizza's
just
been
cut
touched
it,
by about
yeah.
3 people. So what
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll just cut it and then
Yeah.
take it for
Yeah.
myself. But that example is just me being open and someone relating to me, and that was on a table of 12 people. So that guy's obviously got it.
Yeah.
To what extent?
Yeah.
He said that he doesn't stop me doing things, but
But
like,
it's
my
still a thing.
petrifying. Yeah.
I think that's one of the main things is to not belittle it.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is being like, again, when you hear so many people being like, oh, well, no one likes sick, it makes you think, oh, okay, I guess it doesn't really matter how I feel. But actually, it's a horrible feeling.
Exactly. And what I'd look for, don't look for reassurance from anyone else. Do you know what I mean? That's what people look for. I think just know it is a thing, and a lot of people have got it, and it's difficult.
Yeah.
And just be open and honest with it with people.
Yeah. Okay, to be fair, I think that's everything, unless you have anything else that you wanted to
But only check out Jack.
Yeah.
So
Yes, of course.
JAAQ, it's a free platform. We've got the leading expert on the emetophobia in there. So if you ever got any worries about it, go and check that out.
Cool. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Absolute
It's been
pleasure.
very nice to meet you.
Fella emetophobia.
Yes, I know, it's so great to meet someone else who has it. It makes you feel so much better when you know you're not alone.
Exactly. And you're definitely not with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as long as it doesn't rule your life.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode, and we will see you next week.